Hello, House District 60. Sitting here, it's Thursday, May 22nd. Oh, coming on 5 o'clock, getting ready to do a virtual town hall. Haven't done a video in a week or two. Just wanted to reconnect. We're down to 38 days left in session. Revenue forecast came out last Wednesday, I believe. Different messaging from some of our Democrats to some of our Republicans on what the revenue forecast meant. So the revenue forecast typically comes out quarterly, maybe a little bit more often during session. And this one showed a decrease in revenue compared to the last revenue forecast. There's not as much funding available as what they had predicted would be. Somewhere around $500,000 or $500 million, excuse me. But the reality of the revenue forecast is we still have 13% more funding than we did last biennium. So even if you look at a continuing service level budget, you should still have enough money to maintain all the services and programs you did last biennium, this biennium, because the 12 to 13% increase. In fact, it was a record amount of revenue coming in this biennium for us to spend next biennium. So it goes down to the basic, simple question is, are you having a revenue problem or are you having a spending problem? And more than likely, we're having a spending problem. And we should be able to maintain the service we have. Problem is, there's priorities. There's also an increase in need for transportation package, fire funding, the governor's homeless, housing, education. So what do you do? And that's what we're going to figure out in the next couple of weeks. Ones that are most important to, I think, Eastern Oregon is a transportation package. We've talked about it before. There is a Democratic proposal that's coming out that increases revenue by about 1.8 billion. That's going to come into some very creative ways, but it will come with registration fee increases, mileage fee increases, and different things. Now, the Republicans are still putting out a no fee increase one that does cut out a lot of public transportation funding, some of the climate action plans, some of the things that are valuable to some of our communities. But it goes back to what the core functions are. How do you maintain the roads? How do you provide the maintenance, plowing, painting of lines that is needed? We'll keep you up there. Like in most things, somewhere in the middle will probably what will come from this session. There's not much appetite to increase taxes. We'll have to see where that goes. Fire funding. So how do we pay for suppression and mitigation costs in the state of Oregon? House Bill 3940 laid that out. It's been kicked to the Rules Committee because it can stay alive for the next couple of weeks. At one time, they were thinking to increase the bottle bill from 10 to 20 cents or add 5 cents on it to fund part of it. Looking at different revenue streams. It's a tough one. I still think with a 12 to 13% general fund increase, we should be all funded out of the general fund. The governor released an article a couple days ago that she is supporting Senator Golden's $1 million kicker reduction. So to maintain, $1 billion kicker reduction. So maintain $1 billion that goes back to the people who paid taxes last year to help fund that. Kicker is almost a non-starter for all Republicans. I don't think that'll get traction because that vote threshold, because it's constitutional, is you would have to get 40 in the House. A tax vote's 36. Normal vote's 31. You'd have to get a lot of Republicans to support that. And there is a conversation there to be had that the majority of the kicker goes back to the metro area. So are you forcing the metro area to pay for the fire conversation in the rest of the state of Oregon? Interesting argument, but they're going to continue to work through the fire funding. Today in climate and energy, we had Senate Bill 83, which would have repealed the wildfire maps that we've talked about multiple times. I helped work with the House Republicans to come up with their own bill. The powers to be decided to run through with the Senate bill, which was an exact copy of the bill that we had come up with. Passed the Senate, I think Senate unanimously. Ended up here in the House. We should have passed that to the floor today and got a vote and repealed the fire map. What happened? It was kicked down to Rules Committee also to be a negotiating chip for the fire funding fix. So they're trying to leverage something that we want with something that we don't want, a revenue increase. I've said now twice that bills are being kicked to rules. The reason they're being kicked to rules is the second chamber deadline for policy committees is tomorrow at 5. So if you haven't made it through, let me back up. At first, the bill started in the Senate, went to the Senate Policy Committee. If it didn't have a Ways and Means, it went to the Senate floor, comes over to the House, gets assigned to a House committee, has to make it through that committee to go to the House floor. The second chamber is the House for that Senate bill, and that deadline is Friday. So if you have any policy bills that are not in rules or revenue, they'll be dead Friday at 5. That's why I keep saying things get kicked to rules. With the budget forecast or revenue forecast, the bills, like 2/3 of the policy bills that we have that have budgetary constraints with them or budget asks with them, a lot of those are in jeopardy. Unfortunately, we don't have too many there. We do have a couple on the Senate side that are policy only that we've talked about before. House Bill 3372, which allows, a 3,000 gallon exemption under the domestic water to allow you to irrigate for some produce to take your farmers markets and other things. That bill should be on the Senate floor Monday. The automatic reporting of death certificates, House Bill 3127, had a little hiccup over there on the Senate side, even though it passed the House unanimously, that there were some people that didn't want to support it. The American Medical Association was opposed because currently 14% of the doctors aren't using the online, and they didn't want to. Still working through that. They wanted a delayed implementation. They actually passed a 2-year delay. It'll come back over the House now for concurrence, and we'll work through that. Should be some interesting 38 days. We got some tough bills for myself, tough bills for the community coming. We talk taxes, we talk guns, we talk other issues. Like to get out of here early. Constitutional signing day, I believe, is June 29th on a Sunday. Hopefully we get out of there before then. Hope you're enjoying Memorial Day weekend with friends and family and a barbecue and the weather's good. Look forward to chatting with you again next week. Be safe.